Keep the zipper closed. I used to think camping was just quiet. You could own pine air that forgives, water that tells the truth, fires that behave if you do. I'm 25, alone for a weekend at a state forest loop where the sites have numbers nailed into trees, and the ranger station sells ice like it's mercy. My rules were boring on purpose. Tell my sister my plan, hang my food, keep the tent zipped after dark, and never step off the loop trail at night. The ranger added 2 more with a smile that didn't T-stick, dawn to follow whistles, and if your trail app offers a shortcut after midnight, say no. By 5:42 p.m., I'd signed the log, paid cash, and watched the ranger's thermal receipt printer rattle out my permit. It coughed a second narrow strip with no logo, no fee, just do not leave the trail. Along the edge, ghost gray digits that weren't the hour, 3:13 am. Printer's old, the ranger said. The manager spell for nights they didn't want. I stuck the strip to my map case because paper makes rules heavy. My site was a circle of dirt and kindness under hemlocks. I pitched the tent with the door facing the fire ring, like we'd be having a conversation. I boiled noodles. The creek told me the same story on repeat when I looked at my phone to take the obligatory I'm trying photo. The black screen showed my reflection half a beat late and a second head over my shoulder, tilted toward my ear, mouth parted, like it had reached the first half of a word. I blinked until Glass remembered it was only glass. At dusk, the first odd thing was polite. 2 knuckles tapped the aluminum of the bear box. Measured, not raccoon, not wind. I checked the latch anyway. Inside, my cooler breathed cold like a person practicing. The box S-lid, fogged, a perfect or palm. From the inside, 5 ovals and a heel, and a slid. A patient, inch before thinning. Condensation, I told myself, like grammar could save me. The park radio on the ranger's porch crackled across the lake. In my sight, a voice came out of nothing slow and careful, like each word had to be lowered into place with 2 fingers. Don't leave. Not the ranger, not anyone I could bill for comfort. The careful museum voice cities use when they keep bones behind glass. I ate, I wrote, quiet night, at the top of a page, because forms like that lie even when they array your own. The letters looked wet a second longer than ink should. My trail app woke itself and offered a card I hadn't asked for. Night route available, saves 13 minutes. Under it, double tap to confirm. 2 tiny hearts pulsing like a dare. The arrow didn't point left or right. It pointed down. I hit cancel and put the phone face down like you do with news. By full dark, the forest had learned its one long breath. Creek hush, wind finding a chord in the hemlocks, the tent fly's small drum. In that aligned note, the tent door, zipper shivered, an inch under its own teeth, like a sleeper scratching, and stopped. From the trees, a whistle drifted. 2 clean notes, the right pitch for "Where are you?" A beat late, like it had learned copying before conversation. No, I said to the air, and the air chose to forget. I turned in early because I wanted to be awake for any mistakes. The tent was a small church with nylon windows. My headlamp turned my breath into weather. I reached for the zipper to check it, and the fabric, fogged in a perfect palm from the outside, 5 ovals, a heel, and a slid down until it met the seam. I set my own palm on the inside. Through ripstop and cold, pressure matched. Me, not pushy, just there, as if a hand through a door agreeing on rules. At 11:19, the map app vibrated in my pocket with a text from unknown. Confirm night hike? 3:13? The map dot sat inside my tent icon, then behind my shoulder, then the toast at the top said double tap to confirm. With those small hearts, patient. The app clock shorted to 3:13 and remembered 11:20 like a child who knows not to repeat a joke. A mud tap tappy traveled the length of my sight. Picnic table, bear box, tent pole, measured, polite, like Knuckles practicing a sentence. The creek did a tiny wrong thing. One beat of silence in its memo. The forest breathed back into a line for 4 long seconds. In that held chord, the tent door zipper nudged another hair and remembered itself. I fell asleep under rules, because people do. At 11:37, something moved around the fly. Not feet, not claw. Pressure. The way fabric learns a palm on the mesh above my face. A head. Past, tilted toward my ear, mouth, parted. On the first half of don't. I held still long enough to learn humility. From the fire ring, a tap tap answered. Then from the tree with my bear hang. Then from the kiosk at the loop's entrance, like the forest had decided to be punctuation. The little lantern in the gear loft blinked once like an eye and held steady. At midnight, the zipper at my feet tugged itself a half-tooth. The careful voice spoke from the small black square of my phone. No speaker awake. Soft as a bedtime rule. Leave. The zipper. Closed. I said, okay, out loud to nylon and superstition. The creek forgave me a little. At 12:06, my phone showed a photo from unknown. My tent from above. My own shoulders curled. The zipper's metal pull shining like a tiny moon. The caption, double tap to confirm. The hearts pulsed. I pressed the power button, and the screen stayed lit long enough to flip to 3.13 and back like a muscle memory in glass. A whistle sounded closer, 2 notes that landed a beat late. On the other side of the fabric, 2 knuckles tapped the pole, exact to the beat of my pulse. The zipper shivered against my fingers in a small surrender. I gripped it until the metal cooled to my skin, and we were both bored enough to let go. At 12:23, leaf litter shifted beyond the vestibule with a sound like a person choosing their next word. The tent wall fogged, a palm, a thumb width higher than I can reach, and I slid a patient inch. The creek, the wind, the fly drum, aligned again. One note that set my teeth to counting. In that breath, the trailhead kiosk light down the loop blinked. 3:13. And learned humility. I thought about the rule you make at home, about stoves and doors, and not answering names you don't own. The Ranger S radio drifted across the water, like a lullaby told to someone else. Dawn to go down. The only down from here was the ravine where the creek bunched its sound into a throat. I stayed where my sleeping pad pretended to be a spine. At 12:41, something walked the loop road and stopped where my site number was nailed into bark. The tap-tappy came from the sign, then from the bear box, then from the tent pole again. Polite, measured. My headlamp reflection in the dark face of my phone camera showed me, and for one frame, a head over my left shoulder, mouth aparted, like it had reached the first half of a dawn. Then only my bad hair. I printed a sign with a Sharpie on the back of my map because signs are spells. After dark, zipper stays closed. I set it inside the tent pocket, like that would change plastic. The letters looked wet, longer than marker should. Somewhere on the loop, someone else's camp chair thumped back onto dirt. A car door tested its own lock. The night learned me and got tired. At 3.13, because some hours apply for the job, every small light in my world blinked once and held. The watch face on my wrist, the battery dot on the lantern, the app trying to be useful, the creak, the wind, the nylon, my ribs. One note, and release. The zipper cooled under my hand as if another hand had matched mine and agreed. The careful voice gave the last sentence it had for me. Keep the zipper closed. Dawn loosened the sky from black. The ranger drove by, counting sights like sheep. I walked to the kiosk to return a borrowed bear can and slid the damp strips across the counter. He frowned at, "Do not leave the trail." Like it was a pesticide brand he'd have to ban. Printers old, he said. The blessing that keeps jobs uncomplicated. He touched the map under the plexi like a forehead. Lots of people get cute at night. The forest doesn't like cute. I left a day early because the point of quiet is to bring it home. Now, some weeks, at 3.13, my apartment radiator knocks twice, like a tent pole remembering manners, and the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width higher than I can reach, while a palm clears a coin and a slides. That patient inch, my phone lights with unknown, confirm night route, and the two small hearts wait nicely. When it does, I keep my hands off shortcuts and my feet inside painted lines, tent seams, and plans I actually made. In the steady voice the loop taught me, I say, keep the zipper closed. For a long, thin moment, the room hums one note, like a forest pretending to be a choir. A head leans near my left ear and practices the first half of Dawn It. And then the pipes remember water. The hour lets go of its borrowed number, and whatever was learning my campsite, a half beat behind me chooses someone else, S trail, and leaves mine to daylight.
If you survived this far, leave your like to prove you are not afraid.